relax in the lawns where there is a lot of shade at the front of the building. Therefore, the school appears to be a residential school. Do you think it looks beautiful? Yes, it is a beautifully constructed building with a sloping roof and a tower. It is a place of historical interest probably. Sometimes schools are also built in historical buildings. This seems to be one of those. Okay, now that we've taken a look at various kinds of campuses and schools and hostels, let's look at the kinds of schools that are there. Schools may primarily be of two types, the day school and the boarding school. What is a boarding school? A boarding school is usually fee-paying school where some or all pupils not only study but they also live during term time with their fellow students and possibly some teachers. The word boarding in this sense means to provide food and shelter. And what is a day school? A day school does not provide living arrangements for its students. Students therefore study and stay at home also besides studying in the school. So they live at home and they study at school. The school routine is normally from 7 or 8 in the morning to 2 or maybe 3 in the afternoon. This varies from school to school. Now give it a thought. Can you think about the schools in the ancient history of India? Do you think they were boarding schools or day schools? And what was the mode of payment by the students? It's just something to think about. Give it a thought. There were schools called Gurukuls in ancient history of India. And were they boarding schools? Yes, they were boarding schools. What about the fee? No, they only had Guru Dakshina. So this is how the schools were in ancient India. Now let's take a look at the schooling which is there in present India. The schooling which is there in India is of standardized education. There are several stages of schooling. These are progressive in nature. That is, you move ahead with each class. Now let's take a look at stages of formal education. What is the pre-primary group? 4 to 5-year-old children study in the pre-primary group. And what are the classes called? They are called LKG or UKG. Now what does LKG stand for? LKG stands for Lower Kindergarten and UKG stands for Upper Kindergarten. So 4 to 5-year-old children study from LKG to UKG and this is called pre-primary education. Children who are 6 to 10 years of age study from class 1 to class 5 and this is called primary education. Children who are 11 to 15 years old study from class 6 to class 10 and this is called secondary education. Now the last one is 16 to 17 years. They study in class 11 to class 12 and this is called senior secondary. This system of formal education is followed by college. Let's take a look at the beginning of education, that is the pre-primary school education. The pre-primary school education is a period of transition or change from the home to school or change from home education to a more formal education. Children are taught to develop basic skills through creative play and social interaction. There are lots of games and educational methods which are employed. Also known as nursery or play school, This stage may extend by 1 or more years. In India, there are often separate pre-primary schools. You already know the full form of LKG and UKG, don't you? Can you repeat them for me? Yes, the LKG is lower kindergarten and UKG is upper kindergarten. Kindergarten is a German word. Yes. Now that we've learnt about the beginning of education in India, let's take a look at primary education. Primary education, as we learnt earlier, is from class 1 to class 5. Students in the age group of 5 to 9 years study in primary education. The government schools employ a no-failure policy. That means students are promoted to the next stage of education automatically. Now, the government has set a target of 100% enrollment in primary school before the year 2012. Do you think we can achieve this goal? Give it a thought. Look around you and maybe discuss it in the class. That can we achieve this goal of 100% enrollment in primary school before the year 2012? Let's now move forward to secondary education. In India, secondary education is for 5 years, starting from standard 6 to standard 12. It follows on from the primary education. Students progress to secondary school between the ages of 11 to 12 and finish between the age 15 to 16. Now, can you guess what a person who passes the class 10 board exam is called? It's given in your workbooks. Take a good look at it. Begins with an M, ends with another letter, and has a C and a T in between. What is a person who passes the class 10 exam known as? That's right. The word is matriculate. The person who passes the class 10 board exam is called a matriculate because the qualification may be termed as, yes, matriculation. Let's now move on to higher secondary education. Higher secondary education in India provides students with an opportunity to specialize in a field. There are 3 fields of general education: science, commerce, and arts. Besides this, polytechnics also provide an opportunity to further professional education at this stage. Most schools arrange an occasion for the class to pass out of the school. Can you guess what this party is called? Yes, it's called a farewell party, and I'm sure you're looking forward to yours whenever it happens. You've already learnt about affiliated schools, haven't you? Let's take a look at some features of the affiliated school. A board of schooling like CBSE, ICSE, or state boards aim to maintain standards in school education in India. I'll now speak the names of certain structures within the school. You have to match it with the correct description. This exercise is already given in your workbooks, so take a good look and listen carefully. An office. Where do you think an office is and what is it used for? The office is, of course, in the school building we are talking about, but what work is done in the office? What about a library? Laboratory. What about dormitories? A field. An auditorium. Canteen. Look carefully and try to match them accurately. Okay, Let's see if you got your answers correct. What is an office? An office is used for administrative work in the school. A library is where students read or issue books. And what is a laboratory? Correct. They are special rooms for practical sessions. What are dormitories? Yes, they are lodgings for outstation students. A field is for sports or physical education. Auditorium is where school events are held. And what is a canteen? Yes, it's a place where students eat lunch, and I'm sure it's one of your favorite places in school. Now we'll play a brief quiz, and this is about school subjects. I'll be speaking some sentences, and you have to fill in the blank with the correct word. Sentence 1. You can't use a calculator in the dash exam. Think carefully. You can't use a calculator in the dash exam. You have to study dash if you want to be a doctor. Sentence 3. I'm no good at dash. I can't draw or paint very well. I'll repeat this sentence. I'm no good at dash. I can't draw or paint very well. The next sentence is, I want to study French at university because I like learning dash. I want to study French at university because I like learning dash. The fifth sentence is, we learned about the ancient Egyptians in our last dash class. Think carefully. We learned about the ancient Egyptians in our last dash class. Let's see how well you've done. For the first sentence, you can't use a calculator in the maths exam. That's right, you're not allowed to use a calculator in the maths exam. For sentence 2, you have to study medicine if you want to be a doctor. So medicine is the stream that you have to study. I'm no good at art. The hint was given in the next sentence, wasn't it? I can't draw or paint very well. I want to study French because I like learning languages. Yes, that's the right answer. We learned about the ancient Egyptians in our last history class. Yes, that's where you would learn about world cultures. Have you heard of a grades-based system of education which exists in many other countries? Now, our system is based on marks. So I'll leave you with this thought that should we change our marks-based system to a grades-based system? If you don't know much about grades-based system, try to find out and then think about it. So should we change our marks-based system to a grades-based system? I'll leave you with this thought. So goodbye for today and do lots of practice. Bye.